I'm gonna use the old lady's room, Iris said with a nasty, smirking grin. Her expression filled me with intense disgust. The lousy daughter-in-law should live in the shed. My in-laws agreed with Iris and started to drive me out. I thought we got along well, but in the end, they sided with her. Seeing them share Iris' repulsive smile wiped away any familial affection I had. Instead, a strong anger surged within me. "All right, I'll do as you wish," I responded, much to the delight of Iris and my in-laws. Turning my back on them, I left the house with just my essentials. They needed a lesson, to be brought down a notch. The only one I still cared about was Emma, who had always been concerned about me. Some time later, I received a frantic call from my in-laws on my cell phone. It was answered by my husband, William. "What the heck is going on?" Iris' shrieking voice was the first thing I heard. "Our house is gone, turned into an empty lot. I am Maria. I'm a 46-year-old homemaker. I grew up in a foster system. I lost my parents in a car accident when I was very young, and at that time, I had no grandparents on either side. Since my parents were both only children, there were no relatives who could take me in. Given that situation, I ended up in a foster care facility. Growing up in foster care, I sometimes faced harassment at school because of that. So, I didn't really have any close friends to speak of. Maria, let's play together." "Yeah, sure." Despite that, I had friends in the foster system. The older ones taught me a lot, and the younger ones adored me. Just having them was enough to make me happy. After graduating high school, I got a job without being adopted. My school experiences made me shy away from social interactions, so I immersed myself in work. Then I met someone, the first person outside the system to acknowledge me. "You work hard every day. Thanks to your diligent work, our jobs are easier." "Oh, thank you." That was William, who is now my husband. He appreciated my work and often complimented me. Gradually, we started talking personally, and when I shared my dream with him, he said he wanted to support and help me. With his encouragement, I worked hard towards achieving my dream. And after a few years as a working adult, I managed to fulfill my dream. "Would you like to go out with me, if that's okay?" Then, he confessed his feelings for me. I was drawn to his kindness and how he had supported my dream, so I accepted his proposal. "Thank you. But, there's something I need to tell you." There, I learned that William was divorced. He said he had a daughter. So, while dating him, I got to meet his daughter, Iris. Iris had a sweet face and was always smiling. "Be my mom, big sis," she'd say to me after we met a few times, and I decided to become her mother. My main concern was William's parents. Coming from a foster home, I was worried they might have a bad impression of me, thinking I was poorly raised or lacked parental love. I feared they might not approve of our marriage. I was filled with such worries. "What a lovely young lady. Ah, what a wonderful woman you are. Please take good care of William and Iris." Despite my worries, William's parents welcomed me warmly. I was sure we could build a beautiful family together. I truly believed that until we got married. Not long after our wedding, I got pregnant with our son, Oliver. I thought we'd have a happy life forever. We would be able to overcome any challenge. That was until I saw their true colors. "Hey, Auntie, give me some money." "Iris, I already gave you your allowance last week. That's not nearly enough." The sweet, young Iris I knew had grown into a completely different person. She hardly went to high school, skipping classes to hang out somewhere every day. And she always seemed to be asking for money. "What do you need it for?" "Explain that first, then I'll decide whether to give you more." And the school called. "You need to attend regularly." "Shut up. You're not my real mom, so stop butting in." At her words, I was momentarily silenced. Indeed, I am not Iris' biological mother. But still, I had always tried to be a mother to her. "Iris, that's no way to speak to Maria. She's been a real mother to you, blood or not. William scolded her, standing up for me. Whatever. I'm out of here. Iris. Probably heading to my dad's place. I'll call my parents, just leave her be. Iris, scolded by her father, left the house in a huff. We knew where she was going. It was her grandparents' house, just a short walk away. Mom, Iris is probably coming over. Please don't coddle her and send her back. William called his parents before she got there. But they, doting and indulgent, never listened to him. Poor Iris, abandoned by her birth mom. Yeah, at least we should be on her side. They said, always giving in to Iris' demands. However, it wasn't like this when I first remarried. Back then, they maintained a reasonable distance, occasionally playing with Iris. They were just normal grandparents, that's how it felt. But their overindulgence began when Oliver was born. Grandpa and Grandma probably don't like me. Oliver felt, noticing the clear favoritism towards his sister. Despite being William's child and their grandchild, they always favored Iris, saying, "Poor Iris." They indulged her with whatever she wanted, from the presents for her birthday to Christmas gifts. On one hand, they barely looked at Oliver. Oliver is my child too. If you keep upsetting him like this, I won't support you anymore. William said angrily to his parents, prompting them to treat Oliver more equally. They were reluctantly doing so on the surface. I couldn't understand their obsession with Iris. It was probably because of Iris' biological mother, William's ex-wife. His first wife was such a beautiful girl. We've known her since she was little. Oh, we're not saying Maria is bad. You're different, but in a good way, and you're doing great. Oh, no, it's fine. William and his ex-wife were childhood friends and his parents' favorites. I had heard a lot about her, and even William described her as a bitter memory. Back then, William wasn't interested in romance and saw her just as a close friend. However, due to the encouragement of those around them saying, "Why don't you date?" and strong advances from my ex-wife, they started dating. Then, she got pregnant while in college. So, I married her because my parents said I had to take responsibility. But his ex-wife was unfaithful. As for the ex-wife, she had multiple affairs besides William. After getting pregnant and dropping out of college, she disappeared, leaving behind baby Iris. William, with help from others, quickly searched for her and found out she had moved in with a wealthy man she was seeing. It was then that she settled alimony and child support in one payment and they got divorced. I do feel sorry for her, but coddling her isn't helping. I understand how you feel, Maria, and you're truly right. Because of these circumstances, I also felt sympathy for Iris. Then I was determined to be a real mother to her. But after remarrying, she became hostile, saying, "You're not my real mom." Especially when I was pregnant with Oliver, there was an incident where she said, "You're disgusting," and tried to make me fall down the stairs. When she tried to push me down the stairs, William, who was nearby, saved me. Iris is becoming more like my ex-wife as she grows. Seeing Iris's behavior, William was deeply troubled and often sighed wearily. "You're not at fault. You're a good father to both Iris and Oliver." I would console him, wondering what to do. This situation wasn't good for Iris. But moving due to William's job was difficult, and separating her from her grandparents seemed impossible. "What's wrong, you two?" Oliver asked, seeing us worried. We hastily replied, "Nothing," and focused on him. That day, Iris stayed at her grandparents' and didn't come home. Time passed, and on the day Iris graduated high school, she suddenly announced, "I'm moving out today." Iris suddenly said that. Both William and I were shocked. "Why all of a sudden?" "I'm pregnant, so I'm leaving." William's expression turned to anger with Iris' words. Probably he reminded of his ex-wife. His ex-wife also got pregnant as a student and disappeared. "Iris, I told you not to turn out like her, like your mother." "Shut up. What I do is my business." "Fine, if you want to be that way, then leave." I disown you. Don't ever call yourself my daughter again. After William's outburst, Iris coolly replied, I told you I would do that from the beginning, and left. She could leave so easily because her grandparents had provided financial support. Didn't I tell you not to spoil Iris? And giving her money after she messed up, what were you thinking? Calm down, William. William stormed over to his parents' place, angry about their actions. After I calmed things down, Oliver looked intently at his grandparents. Iris turned out this way because Grandpa and Grandma spoiled her. If both you really cared about her, you should have stopped. Oliver didn't have a good relationship with Iris. He admired her as a sister when he was younger, but soon realized her true nature and distanced himself. Iris continued to call him a gloomy idiot, which motivated Oliver to focus on his studies. Despite being a grade schooler, he had very mature thoughts. I'm glad my grandparents disliked me. It made me a better person. His grandparents were shocked by his words. They probably never imagined that Oliver was aware of their dislike towards him, let alone that he would say he's glad to be disliked. We're sorry. We were wrong. They apologized sincerely. They regretted spoiling Iris too much, thinking they were helping a poor child. You're too late in realizing. There. I tried to calm him while patting Oliver's head. But Oliver, asserting his maturity, said, Stop it, I'm not a kid anymore. I thought Oliver might have taken after William. He was straightforward and stern with his grandparents, just like William. The frustration with Iris seemed to vanish, seeing Oliver's growth. The grandparents later changed their manner profoundly to us, maintaining a reasonable distance while occasionally sending gifts. This could mend our relationship in time. Maria, you're kind. William smiled, slightly embarrassed. They were among the few people outside of the foster system who accepted me. That's why I wanted to believe in them. As I explained this, William seemed thoughtful. What's wrong? Nothing. William replied, smiling kindly. We continued to live a peaceful life, maintaining a suitable distance with the grandparents. Oliver, growing up, became interested in our work. I want to do the same job as you and Dad, he said eventually. And we supported his dream. Ever studious, Oliver would sometimes seek our guidance. Each time, we would teach him, and as he grew, so did his range of understanding. And through this, we could feel Oliver's growth. Meanwhile, Iris had cut off contact after receiving money from the grandparents. We decided to leave her be, not knowing where she is now. Am I being heartless? Not at all. You did enough, Mom. William and Oliver assured me. I smiled and thanked them. Though I said that, I still wonder. I looked at an old photo. In the photo, Iris was smiling brightly. Why did it turn out this way? I whispered, looking at Iris' photo. I thought I had done my best to connect with her. We can't dwell on it forever. She'll survive, no matter what. It was time to focus on Oliver's future. It took me years, but I finally managed to move on. Years passed, and Oliver, once a grade schooler, became a college student. I'm thinking about becoming independent and living near my college. So, he started living alone with his college admission. We visited him occasionally, seeing him struggle with unfamiliar chores but trying his best. Maria, can we talk about something? What's up? Right after Oliver moved out, William came to me with a concern about his parents' home. Apparently, his parents' house was deteriorating and needed repairs soon, as it was becoming unsafe. But the renovation would be costly, too much for his parents to handle alone. Why don't we live together? Really? Are you sure? Yes, as long as you're okay with it. By then, our relationship with his parents had improved. We decided to buy a two-family home with completely separate living areas. Thank you for suggesting we live together, Maria. We'll make sure not to bother you. True to their word, they never interfered and always called before coming over to our side. Our interactions were limited to occasional shared meals and food exchanges. We continued to maintain a healthy distance. Then, one day, William had to go on a long business trip abroad. Call me anytime, don't hesitate just because they're my parents. Don't worry, I'll be fine. I reassured him. Indeed, our relationship with his parents remained unchanged, each respecting the other's space. Perhaps my busier work schedule and later homecomings played a part. A month passed, and William settled into his work abroad. Then, unexpectedly, Iris showed up at our house. It's been a while. Iris? Suddenly, Iris showed up at our house. With 4 children in tow. Welcome, Iris. Welcome back, Iris. While I was shocked by the sudden turn of events, my in-laws welcomed her with smiles. I later found out they had been in touch with Iris even after she left. I'm going to live here with these kids from today, Iris declared abruptly, a situation I couldn't immediately accept. However, Iris, having divorced and led a troubled life during her student years, had no one else to turn to except her grandparents. And the youngest child was still a baby. So, for the time being, we decided to let them stay on the parents' side of the house. What? She just left on her own, and now she comes back without Maria's permission? I immediately informed William about Iris's return. He was furious and said he'd come back right away. But being overseas and due to work commitments, it wasn't easy for him to return immediately. It's okay. For now, they're staying on the parents' side, and if anything happens, I can ask Oliver for help. Yet, with Iris's return, our once harmonious relationship was disrupted. Iris continued her ways, leaving her children with the grandparents while she went out every day. Maria, can I ask you a favor? The elderly in-laws couldn't handle the young kids alone. Therefore, I switched my work to home-based and started looking after the children during work breaks. Gradually, it became a given for the in-laws to leave the children with me. Eventually, they started leaving the kids at the doorstep of our side of the house whenever Iris went out. I'm sorry for always being a bother. It's okay, don't worry about it. I'll manage for a while as I have to work now. Can you handle it alone? Yes, I'm fine. The others are napping, and I'll finish my homework. Fortunately, the eldest daughter, Emma, is a responsible and good kid who actively takes care of her younger siblings. She helped with chores and always looked apologetic, making me feel sorry for her. It was my fault for always accepting the situation. But the real issue was Iris leaving her children and going out. 1 minute, Iris. What? I can hear you, no need to shout. One day, I decided to confront Iris, who had returned home in the morning. You're a parent, take care of your children properly. As usual, you're so nagging. And you, the one living here, should take more care of the household. Confused by her words, I tilted my head. Apparently, the in-laws had been complaining to Iris about me not doing household chores or fulfilling my duties as a daughter-in-law. I turned to the in-laws, startled by Iris's words. It's true, right? Absolutely. What kind of daughter-in-law stays in her room doing who knows what? I was dumbfounded, having never heard such complaints from them before. In response to that, Iris suddenly had a thought and said, "Oh, that reminds me. If you can't fulfill your role, you should leave." What? If you leave, I can use your room, and with you gone, it'll be quieter for me to stay at home. So, get out. What was she talking about? I almost yelled in response, but then I noticed Emma watching us. I didn't want to show her a scene of arguing with Iris. Despite my feelings, Iris smiled triumphantly. I'll use your room. Iris, with a sly grin, seemed to relish the moment. Her expression filled me with strong disgust. Live in the storage room, you terrible wife. So said Iris, as my in-laws joined in to kick me out. I thought we had a good relationship, but in the end, they were on her side. Seeing the in-laws with the same unpleasant smile as Iris, any familial affection I had vanished. In its place, a strong anger surged within me. Fine. I'll do as you wish. Iris and my in-laws were delighted with my response. Turning my back on them, I left the house with just the essentials. They need to be taught a lesson, even if it means taking them down to rock bottom. The only thing that bothered me was Emma, who cared about me until the end. Oliver, sorry to bother you so early, but can I come over to your apartment? I contacted Oliver and William, caught a taxi, and left our two-family house. Welcome, Mom. Take your time and relax. Sorry for the sudden visit. Then, I visited the apartment where Oliver was living alone. Knowing the situation, he warmly welcomed me. What about Dad? He's coming back home right away. A few hours later. William also returned, joining us. That Iris. And those two, I won't forgive them. Calm down. I'm not going to let this go either. And so, we started planning our strategy. First, the kids. If things stay this way, Emma and the others will be unhappy. We decided to completely separate Emma and the others from Iris. Got it? You don't know anything. Yeah, I understand. Then, William pretended to be clueless and contacted the in-laws. Oliver and I listened in on speakerphone. Initially wary, the in-laws soon returned to their usual selves when they thought William knew nothing. Since you're getting along well with Maria, why don't you all go on a spa trip together? I'll send you 3 tickets, so have a good time. And with that, William offered them a spa trip. As we expected, the in-laws left the house, happily taking Iris instead of me. Meanwhile, I returned home with William and Oliver. Aunt Maria? You're back. Sorry for worrying you. It's all okay now. At home, Emma was there, crying anxiously with her younger siblings. I immediately took steps to protect the children and began gathering their belongings. Emma, do you know your dad's contact details? Yeah, I remember. Can you call him? Yes, I can. Luckily, Emma remembered her father's contact number. So, I was able to contact him. Apparently, he comes from a wealthy family and chose to divorce Iris after learning of her infidelity. Guess a love for money runs in the family. I couldn't help but chuckle at William's muttered remark. By the way, it seems the father had intended to take all the kids. However, before any agreement was made, Iris disappeared with the children. He had been searching for them ever since. So, when I reached out this time, he was grateful and promptly came to take the children. Thank you, Aunt Maria, and I'm sorry for all the trouble, said Emma, thanking and apologizing to me multiple times while happily going off with her siblings and father. We watched them go with smiles and then got moving. Now there were no regrets left. Hello. Actually, there's something I need to ask. I contacted a real estate agent, while William handled various arrangements, and Oliver moved out the belongings. As a result of our coordination, the house was completely emptied. After completing various procedures, we decided to move. It'll be interesting to see their faces. As I said this with a laugh, William and Oliver also chuckled, definitely. Sometime later, a barrage of calls came to my phone from my in-laws. William, my husband, answered it. What's going on? Iris's shrill voice was the first thing we heard. William looked fed up, his face showing clear annoyance, as he was subjected to a one-sided, shrill ranting. To summarize the content of the conversation. The house is gone, turned into an empty lot, she said. The speakerphone revealed the in-laws' voices demanding explanations and asking about their great-grandchildren. What's going on? There's nothing going on. That house was bought by Maria, and she's been paying a $4,000 mortgage on it. What she does with it is her business. What? Dad? You mean the old lady's been paying a $4,000 mortgage? Iris was clearly not expecting William's answer and that it was me who had been paying. She sounded confused, unlike before. For now, we've sent your belongings to an apartment. You go there. William explained in a cold voice. We'll have a discussion later, at a place and time of our choosing. Stay put until then. With that, William ended the call. Now, the real game begins. A few days later. When summoned to a family restaurant, Iris arrived looking displeased, accompanied by her parents who were visibly anxious and trying to appease her mood. Iris glared at me as soon as she saw my face. "What did you do with our house?" As soon as she sat down, Iris asked that question, and we were just astounded. Really, does this girl have any sense of parental responsibility at all? The first thing you should be worried about is the kids. Iris fell silent for a moment. Her expression showed she had forgotten about them until now. Where are the kids? They're with their father now. What? How dare you do that without asking? According to Iris, those kids were hers. She claimed she couldn't get child support without them. You're the one being selfish, William yelled. His voice drew everyone's attention, causing Iris to shut up. I intended to raise you as if you were blood related to me, even though you're not. I just didn't want you to be like my ex-wife. I never planned to treat Oliver differently. But in the end, you turned out just like her. What? Not blood related? Iris muttered in disbelief. Even her parents seemed unaware of this, their eyes widening in shock. Yes, Iris wasn't even blood related to William. Iris, you're the child of my ex-wife and her lover. That's a lie. I knew that when I married my ex-wife. I took responsibility after being told to do so. I raised you, who were abandoned by your biological parents, feeling pity for you, hoping you'd live differently from my ex-wife. But it was all in vain, William murmured. It should be noted that William genuinely loved Iris from the bottom of his heart. And he had always faced her as a father. Why did you keep quiet? Yes, why didn't you tell us? The in-laws asked, to which William responded with a cold gaze. Have you ever seriously listened to what I had to say? You always seemed to listen to me at the moment, but in the end, you always ignored my opinions. He mentioned how, even if he had said she wasn't his child at the time, they wouldn't have believed him and would have just told him to take responsibility. I remembered the in-laws' behavior. No matter how much I said don't spoil Iris, they'd agree in the moment, but nothing changed. They tried to appear fair to Oliver only because William brought up the topic of supporting them, and still their avoidance didn't change. Even when Iris visited, they'd leave the kids with me, claiming to be busy, yet leaving them at the door without trying to understand. You said you accepted Maria being from an orphanage, but you probably never truly accepted it. Knowing you, you didn't think deeply about it. Maria didn't really matter to you. For the in-laws, who had always wanted a girl, Iris and her mother were more important. Probably right on the mark, they couldn't meet our eyes. Iris is yours now. Don't ever involve us again. Same here. I have no intention of helping you. I feel the same. I can't forgive you for betraying me. We each expressed our final words, and the in-laws hung their heads. What's all this? It's all lies. There's no way she could pay off a mortgage. It's all made up, right? Iris finally snapped out of her shock and glared at me. I opened my mouth to reveal a truth. Oh, didn't I mention? I'm actually a CEO. What? Indeed, I am a CEO. My dream was to own my company one day. To achieve it, I saved money and studied hard for several years after becoming a working adult, and then I started my own business. Maria, you were the first person I truly loved. So, I want to follow you. William had said, really joining my company. Together, we grew the business and even expanded overseas. William's business trips were for leading our overseas branch as an executive. Oliver, meanwhile, was studying business at college to succeed me. That's a lie. You, a CEO? No way. Iris, unaware of my position, was again shaken. You never had any interest in Mom's work, did you? Oliver told her coldly. I couldn't help but notice that his voice sounded just like William's, thinking it oddly out of place. Did you really never notice anything? When the kids were young, I always worked at home as much as possible. Despite William's help, it was a busy life juggling work, household chores, and childcare. I saw Mom working hard every day. Sometimes, I heard her on the phone discussing complicated matters. Above all, we never lacked money. Even if you didn't know she was a CEO, you must have realized she was earning well. But, your mother never gave me an allowance when I told her to. That's because you spent your allowance within a week. Plus, Mom would give you more if you explained why you needed it. She thought about you. Unlike someone's house, she didn't just hand out money without thinking ahead. Oliver then took out his smartphone. Then, he pulled up a video on his phone and showed it to Iris and the others. The video was of me being interviewed on TV. Mom's famous enough to be featured. I thought you came back to take advantage of that. You've always been insolent, even as my younger brother. When did you ever treat me like a brother? You were hostile just because I was Mom's son. Besides, we're not even blood related. Do you think I would actually listen to my so-called sister? Iris fell silent, unable to retort. But her eyes still glared at us with resentment. Iris, I wanted to be your real mother, regardless of the blood connection. But that didn't happen. Now, I don't want to be your mother. In fact, I feel disgust. This can't be happening. It's all lies. Anyway, from now on, we won't help or support you. You're on your own. As William said this, we stood up. We paid for our own meals and left the restaurant. You've ruined my life. That's our line. If only you weren't here. We could hear them arguing loudly as we left. After that, William and I safely returned to our new home. The new place has a large garden, and we were discussing how to beautify it together. Please, tell us where your new home is. Despite such pleas from the in-laws, we ignored them. After we left, Iris and the in-laws apparently had a huge fight. Iris was arrested for breaking things in the restaurant and hitting a staff member. It also came out that she had been committing marriage fraud. She was out every night, leading on many boyfriends with the promise of marriage. That's why a complaint was filed. Yes. Her father mentioned that her crimes added up, making it possible for him to gain custody. After moving to our new home, Iris's ex-husband brought Emma and her siblings over to visit. And that's how we were informed about Iris. Emma seemed happy living with her father, which relieved us. Despite repeated pleas for help from the in-laws, we hung up without a word. They were living in poverty since we cut off our financial support. Having spent too much on Iris and now burdened with compensating the restaurant, they were forced to work despite their old age. By the way, they even came to my college. What? Were you okay? Yeah, I realized it quickly and called the police before they could approach me. The police took them away. I was relieved Oliver was so level-headed. Due to being taken by the police, they also lost their part-time job and were pushed further into poverty. Unlike the in-laws, things were going great for us. My company, having successfully expanded overseas, was growing rapidly. William and I were leading busy yet fulfilling lives. Oh, by the way, I've got a girlfriend. Can I bring her over to meet you? Oliver said. The girl he brought was kind and sincere, the complete opposite of Iris. I couldn't judge immediately. But seeing them so happy together, I felt she might be right for Oliver. Hey, Maria. Once work calms down, how about we go on a spa trip together? Oh, that sounds lovely. I smiled and agreed to William's suggestion. I worked hard, looking forward to our spa trip. Years passed. Oliver joined my company as my successor, working hard every day. His girlfriend, saying she wanted to be Oliver's right hand like her father-in-law, also joined our company. The two of them got married and lived nearby. Actually, she's from the same orphanage as Mom. Oliver revealed, and that brought me and her closer. Today, the young couple is visiting. I prepared a special feast to welcome them. When she told us about their child, we were overwhelmed with joy.